How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Centurion Action X third mark session video. Basically, I'm going to do it in the same sort of way that I did the 50B, and that I'm going to commentate on battles and things like that. A lot of positive feedback on that video saying it was really helpful, so I hope that this is equally as helpful for you guys too. This is possible basically because I played it off stream today. I did a 12-hour stream yesterday, 12 hours straight of World of Tanks and streaming. So I took a day off streaming today, Sunday, to play some games off stream and just basically focus on the game, quote unquote try hard, which is nice to do occasionally, without having to worry about entertaining the stream and also answering questions and doing all that great stuff. So yeah, this is what it is. Basically, it's a little bit different, and I'll bring up two separate session statistics here so you can look at the two difference. I used optics on the Centurion for this. So basically what I did is I focused on spotting assisted damage, whereas usually I would just go for raw damage per game output. Usually I put vents on my tier 10 mediums, as you can see here. So it's you know, a different style, and I like vents because I'm very aggressive, so vents suits that. I'm not quite passive enough for optics usually. There's nothing wrong with either choice. I do think vents is more useful most of the time. Optics is useful on certain maps more so than vents would be, but you know, because of the map pool, I think that usually vents is better, but here it is. So for science, this is what it is. You can see the difference here. The session where I went for damage, 4200, which is pretty standard-ish for tier 10 tryhard sessions or so. Then 3873 for this third mark session. But you can see the damage via spotting. The average was 1154, although that is boosted by this crazy monster game at the beginning here. Although I lost a lot of damage by choosing to go for spotting instead, so you know, a toss up there. Whereas on the other one, I got much less assisted via spotting. So anyway, just to throw that out there, that I kind of did this for science, and then you guys can kind of basically get the experience of what I tried to do for spotting, and hopefully that's helpful too. So enjoy, you guys, and let's get right into the battles. Okay, so the first battle I'm going to show you guys is Proc, and it is the first battle I actually play, where I get quite a lot, almost 9,000 assisted damage. So really convenient considering, I decided to go with the aim here of getting quite a lot of assisted damage via spotting out of my session here, and obviously Proc is one of the best spotting maps in the game. Of course, it should be noted that optics isn't just about trying to get assisted damage. It's also, in theory crafting, it can also provide you with better damage per game, with the logic there being that you're going to outspot opponent tier 10 mediums or any tanks really, because of your optics and improve view range. Personally, I still do prefer vents just because most maps I don't feel you get those opportunities because it's too brawly or close quarter combat. Sorry, let's go to fixed. But each to their own, I guess. But my specific goal is to just see if I can get assisted damage out of these games. I'm still going to do damage, but on maps like Proc where I do have a greater opportunity to do so, I will, see if I can get lots of spotting. So, Proc basically, even though this is encounter, and I think I play encounter twice on this, which is very weird. I do get Proc twice in this session, both encounter hello artillery, preventing me from camping the base, clearly defeating the tank destroyers. Anyway, so whatever, it doesn't really matter. The meta can be a bit crazy on encounter, but other than that, it's gonna play roughly similar. Basically, I'm just trying to bait these mediums over to be shot from the hill. The 1-2 line isn't really that important on Proc. It's good to have some staying power there, really, but the game is won between the middle and the hill, and they have to work together. The tanks that I spot here, the hill shoots, and the tanks that the hill spots, I shoot. Now I do personally prefer playing the middle from the other side, but that's okay. I've been waiting for a while and I haven't seen anything, so it's already going through my head at this point that, is there anything on the hill? So I decide that I'm going to move over. And the reason I'm doing that is just basically because I haven't seen anything on the hill, and you know there should have been something there if there's going to be something big there, like a medium. I know where the M48 and the Centurion are, so I also see the 140s over here, so you know what could possibly really be on the hill, like an IS-7 maybe, which is now lit over here. So you know I decided to move over because there isn't really much for me to shoot, and it is very difficult to shoot their ramp of the hill. Again, from the other side it's much easier to shoot the ramp, but their ramp is really protected, so it's very difficult anyway. If they're going to stay down there, they have to push onto the hill before you get to do anything. So anyway, I've moved over here, and the goal here has to be to help my 1-2 line. We have quite a lot of firepower on here, and I have to make sure they can push out. And to do this, I need to get rid of this Pershing, so I'm trying to light the Pershing. They're taking a long time because Pershings are super well armored, and it takes a long time to kill a Pershing or something. But the most important thing I need to also get killed is the 140, or you know, I need to get him forced out of that position. Object 140 obviously is going to play that really well, or at least is the ideal tank for that position. Hello artillery, sorry for camping. So you know, I basically just need to make sure the Pershing dies and the 140 dies. Once they are dead or gone, I will be able to spot the 1-2 line, but until then it's way too risky. Now the 140 is running because he, I guess, got hit. I don't know if that was by artillery or something. He was camping a little too hard here in the middle. So at 900 hit points, he cedes control of the middle to me, which is great. So you know, now I have this. Now, when you're always looking at a game, you always look at the mini-map and compare it to the enemy team list, so you know exactly, or not exactly, but give yourself a good idea of what's going to be in front of you. Now, an IS-7, I know that's down here, is no problem for me to light. So I'm going to crawl up here on the 1-2 line. And basically I'm going to slowly approach it until I can find something. Now you can see that tree just went down, so obviously that's important information. I know that the IS-7 is probably roughly in that general area, so I creep up until I can basically spot. Now when you want to spot bushes, now this bush in front of me is like Tommy's My First Bush, so it's really quite small. See here, the damage per game whore in me wants to shoot, but of course you don't want to fire and reveal your position. When you fire, you lose a lot of camo. So yeah, he just got annihilated. T95 really isn't worth my time to shoot at anyways. The chances of me being able to actually hit a penetrating shot on one of the weak points is not great. Now the IS-7 accuses my team of hacking, which of course we are. Optics hacking, that is. But anyways, when you're using a bush, and now again this bush is not a great example because it's small, but on a normal medium-sized bush, in order to get the maximum out of that bush to spot, you have to move up to it like this, and then that way you do have a decent amount of camo, but also you basically are spotting. When you get further away from the bush, it actually starts to impede your ability to spot. Even though it's close to you, it still impedes your ability to see other tanks. So what you want to do, especially when you're using it to fire from, if I was, you know, firing on an opponent, I would move up to the bush, spot my opponent, move back, and then fire. Basically, when the bush is no longer transparent to you, and you can see only the outline of the enemy tank, and you know, basically you're shooting through the bush, you see the bush in front of you, and it's not transparent, and you can only shoot the outline. That's when you're at the maximum amount that tank or that bush will give you camo. So you move up to spot, obviously they'll be lit for a little while, and then you can move back again. So basically now, you know, it's this cleanup. I've done a lot of spotting assisted already. I want to see if I can get a little bit of damage towards the end of this battle here. Just trying to search for the artillery. Yeah, so I mean, it was, you know, it's not like this was like some uber amazing game in terms of I made some amazing plays, but it was just basically about, you know, map and vision control on a map that does allow you to do that. So, you know, here is Object 261, far better at aiming than Centurions. I didn't go for that 140 because honestly I thought he was going to die instantly because of the amount of tanks descending upon him. This lack of outline when playing back replays is actually quite annoying. Yay, M46, cheeky little shot there. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I will show you another proc battle from the other side, just to show you I do roughly a similar thing in terms of the middle play, at least. So yeah, that's proc. If I wanted to damage farm, usually I would have just stayed in the middle, which is what I would do on most mediums. But we didn't have a light tank available to do it. So, you know, I was the best bet, really, to spot the 1-2 line. And when you had so many tanks there, in our case, we had quite a lot of tank destroyers invested in that area. We had to make sure something happened with that area, so... Okay, so this is the second battle I play in this session, and it's on Malinovka, which, again, great spotting map. But there are a number of factors that I see in the team lineup that dictate how I play this. You can see Chaotix talking about the previous battle, I guess, here, so I have a bit of a joke about that. But anyways, the factors that dictate where I go here are a number of things. One, there's no artillery, which means I don't have to be ultra defensive and passive to not get obliterated in this battle. But two, that they have 3 light tanks. Now, as I said, you know, I was playing this session with the goal of doing as much spotting as I can, but when there are 3 light tanks, it doesn't matter how good my spotting is, theirs will be better. Not because they have more view range than me, but their camouflage is much, much better. It actually works out, and especially in a lot of cases, even dealing with artillery, where ultra high camo is much better than ultra high spotting. So, you know, it works out better for a light tank, much more effective, at least passive spotting than I am. So, you know, I don't really want to go to a spotting area. Plus, we have 2 light tanks of our own, so, you know, the hope is that they do a bit of their own spotting. So, while I have in the back of my mind I would like to do some spotting if the opportunity arose, I'm going to go for initial map control and damage. So, one of the things that annoys me most about playing, you know, Malinovka here is that I have, you know, people have this habit of sitting on this hill the entire game, this area here, and it does my head in when I have multiple tier 10 mediums over here and other things that should be helping in other areas. Now, when you cede control of the hill to the enemy team, you give them map control, which is never something you want to do in any battle. There's no artillery. Their 1 medium is an M48, and I have a bat chat with me. Literally no reason I shouldn't be on this hill right now. As you see, that both bulldogs were spotted in the base, which is very weird. Our RU is in the swamp trying to do some spotting, which is, you know, I guess fair play. I don't know if he's far enough up to spot anything, but who knows. So, you know, I shoot this T-54 Mod 1, who is unfortunate to be my target. And then I loaded heat because I saw the E5, of course, and then, as per usual, the Mod 1 is the next thing I shoot because I thought he would immediately run down. So, here's the issue. Obviously, myself and this batch I can hold for a little bit, but if this E5 gets up, we cannot defeat the E5. Its armor is far too good now to force it back down. So, we need hit points and we need armor on a team. Now, fortunately, I do have that coming up. Now, if I didn't see this behind me, it would be runaway time. Get a couple more shots and run away, which is a real shame to have to do that. But I do have an E100 coming up, and I think these TDs that are sat back here do eventually move up as well. I have a Type 61, so I'm not going to give up control. I'm going to try and buy as much time for my E100 to climb the hill as I possibly can. Now, I tell a lot of you guys this, you know, winning fights is not so much about needing your allies to do a lot of damage as it is about them being in the right position so you can do the damage, because obviously puppies bounce and they don't shoot the right targets and they miss and they do all sorts of things, but as long as their hit points are in the area and the enemy team isn't entirely focused on doing damage to you, there's no problem. So I'm basically just trying to buy time at this point. Our E100's almost up. And this E5 is alone. The FE250 and the T30 are coming up. I have to be careful there because I saw that the T30 could shoot me possibly. And I'm trying not to get in the E100's way, but I'm also trying not to take a huge alpha hit. So now it's going to be a real fight for the hill. There's no artillery to ruin this fight, so it's just going to be pure brawling. That was a really poor shot on my part. I should have just been patient. I knew he was going to turn in like that. I could have pulled out a little bit more and just shot through his side armor. Obviously, you need to shoot it at that kind of angle to pen, not the angle I ended up shooting because I went through the lower plate. So the E100 is, you know, trying to work as best he can. An E100 against an E5 is a difficult thing to do. So basically, at this point, it's time reloads. I try to wait for the T30 to fire and the FV215B ideally to fire, and then poke out and try and do a bit damage to these guys. The quicker I can get the T30 and the FV215B dead, the quicker this E5 will be defeated, because he needs that support. I'm trying to do this without getting in the way of this E100. So I just come out there, don't even bother zooming in, third person. The tank is accurate enough. And get rid of that T30. So now we're in real good shape. The E5's taking a lot of damage. The FV215B is sort of out of the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to go for this E5, you know, get some shots into his side, and just make life real difficult for him. He's going to die. Turn my turret back, which is a waste of time. I should have just faced forward. So that's a mistake by me there. He was definitely going to die. I don't know why I bothered turning around. So now I'm using the T30 as cover. As you can see, there's a waffle down there. Of course, he's now going to get shots now that his team is dead. Typical TD gameplay there. I kind of want to shoot the CDC, but I'm not tall enough to shoot over the T30 hull here. And of course, the poor Mod 1 is the recipient of that. So the only thing left on the hill here is this T10 that went into this low ground. Really funny. And that is like Jesus shot by the waffle there. But the T10 will eventually be dealt with. Unfortunately, my snap was really poor there. It definitely went high, which is kind of frustrating, because obviously if it's 400 damage I lost because of that. But you know, it is what it is. I'm trying to move this FV basically to be in a more comfortable position for me to shoot through him. Not that I think the waffle will stay there for very long, but you know, you never know. CDC, the next easiest thing to shoot. Basically now we've won the game. It's more about how much cleanup damage, and when you're getting cleanup damage, you always want to make sure that you're aggressive in the sense that you make sure you're around, but also you don't want to be super aggressive, especially when you don't have a lot of hit points. You know, that waffle could still wreck me if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna go for this T10, try and, you know, save our E100 here. Get a quick shot. He's gonna try and turn and shoot me, but even if he wasn't trapped there, I would have gotten around him. Such as the speed of the Centurion. This little area here is really good when you have hill control to shoot tanks that are getting lit down here. That was really slow timing by me. I should have got that kill. So basically now we're just getting cleanup on the enemy team. You know, this hill is a really good area to get some of these, especially when you have like base camping TDs and mediums and things that have decided to give up the hill, which is really not a smart decision. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'll just zoom it up a little bit. Apologies for the jump cut there. I had the washing machine repairman mid-recording come round. So basically, this is obviously the end of this battle. Just a little bit of cleanup, and this M46 is going to drown himself because a scumbag. So yeah, that's it, guys. Basically, it was a game where I did get a little bit of assisted from it, but mostly it was just about doing damage. So just to show you an example of where I would basically avoid specifically going for spotting assisted over actual damage. Okay, so here we have Highway. Now this is interesting. The reason I picked this battle is, while it's not like super standout or anything because of, you know, either assisted or damage, it is an example of something I want to show you in terms of picking where to go on a map. Now I'm just going to pause it real quick just before the battle actually begins and the countdown is done. Now initially, obviously, when I load into a battle, the first thing I look at is both teams' lineups, as well as the map and the side that I'm on, and this can dictate very heavily where I choose to go. Now you may think medium, I'm going to go field, but I go to field only under very specific situations. And if you watch my 50B third mark session on Highway, I don't think I go hill, or I don't go field either time. And the reason for that is depending on the lineup. Now you can see here that you know, each team has 2 artillery pieces, except we have a low tier artillery, whereas they get an M53, 55, fair and balanced. So it's difficult. We do both have 3 tier 10 mediums, but the issue being here is that we have to commit all of our mediums there to even have a chance, because you don't want to be outnumbered with mediums. So it's very dangerous, and with XVM being what it is, the 2 artillery scare me no end. The last thing I want is to do absolutely nothing because I get one shot by a very accurate 261 or a very strong M53, 55. And that's all the time while I'm trying to brawl with these mediums with absolutely no cover at all. So field is very dangerous. Now the final thing that dictates that I choose not to go field is the position of my teammates. You can see I kind of initially think about it, and then I see this guy. He's not going field, so I can't go field. The last thing I want is to be outnumbered. It's not like a Mutz is going to help me, so gonna go push the town. Now there is an advantage to pushing the town here, and that's that you get a lot of cover to come back and defend the cap from this spawn. It's not so easy from the other spawn. If you want to come back and defend your cap, you have to go down this hill and then back up again. It's a real pain, whereas back here there's tons of cover to get back to defend your cap. Now despite all this, this lightweight is going to go basically complain about my decision the entire game. Real helpful. Now here you can see we have an M46 and an Object 140 here camping the base. Now later they suicide, which is really frustrating. Whenever you guys get in a situation, even if you like the flank more, and you think you should go to that flank, don't go to a flank alone. You're just going to die and do absolutely nothing, which is the decision I've made not to go here, is because it's too much of a risk. Everything is risk versus reward, and our M46 just got one shot by an M53, 55. Could have been me, boys. So yeah, obviously it's very spooky to go field. What they're doing is actually very dangerous too. They have an SP spotting everyone, and then their mediums are sort of sniping, so you don't even get to fight the mediums. So yeah, not great. Their E100 has gone here, really weird. Now you can see this Mutz. There's no reason for him to be there whatsoever. That's suicide. This guy needs to be careful while he's in base because he can get outlit now. Now the frustrating thing here is that I really want to push the town because I know that the E100 is there, and we kind of have to do it. The 183 is here, so we have to push this, but the problem is I can't push it alone or I will die. You can just see her down here arguing with this lightweight that's really losing his shit. I say our Patton is here as well, and he says following me, no doubt, which of course isn't the case, but I guess when you're mad. So anyway, I want to push. I want to push the city, but it's, you know, you can't do anything alone. You do need hit points around you, as I said in the other battle. Now 140 has just YOLO'd out here to the bridge and is going to die, which is of course a waste of a tier 10 medium, and again something very frustrating. He does spot the E100, but you can do that without YOLOing, plus we have a lightweight that should be doing that sort of thing, not an Object 140. So this battle is already not off to a great start. I have no choice now. I have to push, regardless of how dangerous it is. Because of your W8 faggotry. Yes, that's nice. Because as you guys know, I totally love that metric. Anyways, so, you know, I'm trying to push because, you know, we have no choice. We have to make something happen in the town, at least gain some map control back. That T30 snaps and misses, so I'm going to get another shot, just about get it in there. That's the T30 down. Now, of course, you know, you want to remain unlit after that. The T30 obviously had me lit, so I have to be a little bit more patient and then come out when I know I'm not lit. So the 261 and the M53, 55 don't destroy me. Obviously, the closer you get to the base, more likely tank destroyers are going to hit you because TDs sit in base all game and hold their dicks and stuff. So you need to be aware that they're going to be there. Of course, I load heat for the Jagdpanzer, and then the next thing that's lit is a Waffentrager. Gold noob. But anyways, unfortunately, while the lightweight is pushed in, also our M48 is pushed in, which is a huge commitment, especially because not enough is lit in the field to know whether they've come back or they are still pushing. This is just laziness not to switch back, to be honest with you. But anyways, our tanks are now hanging on the 8 line and getting outlit by this WZ. So we just lost a Ferdinand for absolutely nothing. There's the Leopard. So basically, it's, it's not looking great for us, especially because we had M48 committed. The other issue with the M48 being in there is that it is basically suicide even if he doesn't get wrecked by tanks, but he's wrecked by tanks. He could have got wrecked by artillery. Our lightweight is dead because he didn't spot that area well enough, and he's going to proceed to complain the rest of the battle as well. I guess for me to go to the quote-unquote correct area and do nothing is more important than me to not die instantly, but whatever. So he's complaining here about not returning to the cap, but we have no cap pressure, and when there is cap pressure, I will turn around. But whatever. So, here we have an E3 that's way too far up, an SP that I don't really know what he's doing, to be honest with you. I think he's going to YOLO in. Which is, doing spotting is fine, but, there's no reason to YOLO in, especially when you can spot through that middle road there, that winding road through the J line. There's lots of bushes on there you can spot from. You don't have to basically be close enough to proxy things. So now there is a little bit of pressure on our base, so I'm going to turn around. I would have liked to have cleared out some of those tanks, but, you can't. So I'm going to go speed this up. I move up. Pretty much at this point, while the game was previously winnable, we've lost our E3 to a 183 and other things like that. And this is what you get when people YOLO in for no reason, when the best course of action is to be a little bit more static. I don't know how that shot misses. But people are just throwing away hit points and throwing away tanks for no reason. So it's becoming more and more difficult because people just want to throw in and push. I mean, our FV 4005 died down there. He literally ran out here to go shoot some tanks rather than just turtle up and try and play defensively. But, they do what they want, I guess. So our E4 is going to die here pretty shortly. I'm trying to tell him to stay down so he stays protected. But, he's going to die regardless now. There's nothing much I can do to save him, especially with artillery. So, yeah, it's a bit frustrating. So here's this guy. I see that the 183 is there. He's actually looking at me. So, yeah, I'm having to keep these buildings between myself and the 183. Yay, 261. Yay, M5355. 261, or I mean the 183 is trying to chase me. He snaps that, misses, which is amazing because usually people snap that and hit, such as RNG. So all I'm trying to do at this point is get as much distance between myself and them and reset the distance. Unfortunately, due to my amazing timing, that's where the JP100 perfectly comes through that little gap there at the exact right time. And of course, he lights me for the Centurion to get the finishing blow. He says, was over when you left the field. I don't know why you do anything other than that. And that's why you are a one-dimensional puppy friend. But yeah, if I'd have gone field, I would have done nothing. As it is, I did, in the end, it shows up there, but I got blind damage. So it was 4,700 damage with 1,100 of tracking assist damage. If I had gone field, I would have gotten absolutely nothing, and our team still would have lost. So the other unfortunate thing about this battle, again, is that we could have won. We just needed people not to throw their tanks away. If this E3 had decided to turtle here, for example, he could have been dealing with this JPU 100. Our FV could have backed up here. That's another tank we would have had alive. Our 140 YOLO'd out here for no reason. Our Patton YOLO'd in the base. This battle wasn't lost because I didn't go field. This battle was lost because people threw their tanks away, and it's vital that you don't do that. Despite how dire the situation may ever look, you can always pull it around. And even in this situation, there was a small chance I could basically pull off a miracle with the mediums being very weak and the TDs being TDs. So this is Sand River, and basically I play it a little bit differently most of the time, specifically when I'm in a tank like the Centurion. Than most people play this map. So from this specific spawn here, now most of you will imagine that you will take mediums up here. Now I don't really like this area, and that's for two reasons. One, trading shots here to here is quite difficult, especially when you have soft armor like the Centurion. Also, artillery will pre-aim these areas, and it can just be a nightmare. It's very limited movement-wise, and when you want to play medium, you want to be moving around a lot, and changing your position as much as possible, and that area doesn't really provide that much. So I'm not a big fan of it because of that. I like to go over here, and the reason I like to go here specifically now, because I have optics on, is you can light this from a great distance and outlight heavy tanks. Also, people have this current obsession with going through the middle here. And some games, tons of people go through the middle. It's really weird. And if I could have aimed, I would have hit that T-49, but unfortunately, I missed. But a lot of battles, you get tons of people going through this middle section here, and you can sit up here and basically be unlit while you fire on them as they get lit. So yeah, it's that's an unfortunate shot, but you know, you can kind of see. Now, this is also just the early part of the game, but here you can see I can outlight this E75 here, and I can take shots. Now, eventually I will get lit, especially when I fire like that. You know, there's a high chance I can get lit from that, but you know, other than that, you basically come up on this little ridge line. The Centurion has great depression, so you can come up here and just take pop shots. You're accurate enough to snap a lot of these hits as well. So it's really good to be able to do that in a tank like the Centurion. Now, as you can see, we have 3 base camping tank destroyers who, of course, are waiting for one of the flanks to fall so that they can finally get some shots in the game. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have their guns in the battle now? But as it is, you know, an IS-7 we have has been over here most of the battle. I have no idea what he's doing. I really don't get it. But yeah, not sure why he's doing that. But anyway, we have a E5 is now back down. We have a 140 over there. They're a little outgunned. I think if I was up there with only 2 tier 10s, I would run away immediately, which is this 140's finally decided to run away. Our E5 will certainly die, especially because the IS-7's here. Now, E3 is deciding to move over here, I guess because he's getting ready to receive this push. Oh well. Anyway, so this battle is kind of a weird one in terms of how it kind of goes back and forth. But it's another one of those where people throw their tanks away for no reason, like I showed you on Highway. People just suiciding into flanks for little to no reason. We have our E100 going down the middle row. We have a 140 in the town. I'm not sure why he's in the town, but whatever. So we're guaranteed to lose that northern flank, so now I know for sure we have to push. We have to make something happen. They have so many tanks up there. So basically we're pushing this. I can see the 263 there, so there's unlikely to be that many tanks base camping because they don't have a shitload of TDs. It's very difficult to dig an E5 out. We have to push at some point. So I'm just going to speed this up because basically it's just a little bit of trading fire and things like that. Once the T10 is dealt with, I decide to push the E5 with the IS-4. Unfortunately that was track, no damage, but yeah, we need to kill the C5, so that's why I pushed over here. Just showing you here. Now at this point we're 5-4 up. We're, you know, that's 5-5, but you know we're not doing terribly. We haven't lost or anything. I'm just going over here now to try and figure out where this 263 is run off to. But I think the E5 comes back. Yes. So I take a shot at the E5, things like that. Now I have to be careful because obviously there's a 50B camping in their base now. I'm sure he just returned actually, but not something I want to deal with in terms of, you know, having too many people be able to shoot me, such as 2 140s and a 50B. So I'm going to back up, keep the buildings between myself and my targets. This 140 is way too far in, probably going to die. Now our E100 is this is what I'm talking about, is YOLO'd up here. He was really healthy and now he's going to die. I move up here to see if I can get some shots, but there's no way I can save this E100. He's too far up, he's on his own. They've returned back. Somehow our IS-7 is still alive. Incredible, really. But, you know, we're up 9-7 at this point, and remarkably we still lose the game. And again, it's all about splitting your force, and these guys return back to base and they are coordinated in terms of they've all come to one flank. We have our TDs sitting in the base, 3 of them, and then we have an IS-7 YOLOing up there. So I'm obviously running away because most of their team is down here now. Our E100 is way overextended. and he's still pushing, in fact, and he's going to die very shortly here. I can't remember if he yells at the team or something, or yells at me even, I don't know. At this point, obviously we need to try and make something happen. Now, this Waffle makes a critical error, and that's that he sits here and tries to trade fire with an E5 that's going to appear here. Of course, as a Waffle with no armor, you need to get the E5 in the open. You're not going to get the E5 in the open if you just let him play on that corner there. He gets one shot off, and that's pretty much it. Now the E5 has his number for days. The armor in the E5 is so good that basically he's screwed. So the Waffle would have just been better off YOLOing to that point and defeating the E5 on that point, but he didn't. So and now at this point we have an IS-7 that's pushing the base for some reason. E4 is coming up slowly, but yeah, it's going to take a while. I just got ammo racked because this tank is made out of ammo racks. So yeah, it's not a great position. Specifically, they still have artillery. Our E3 is camping base, but he doesn't have a lot of hit points, but he'd still probably be better off leaving the base, because the only thing he's going to get there is shots once we're all dead. You know, he's got like 100 hit points, so he gets lit after we're dead, and then the bat shot already kills him, so he does nothing. So he might as well try and push, even if he can like draw fire and bounce a couple shots, you know. It would help us out a great deal. I'm going to go this way. Just basically shadowing this E4. Unfortunately, the 140 YOLO's up here and spots me, so of course this is a very dangerous situation, not only because of artillery, but because the 50B could be in the middle as well as the other 140. So I'm going to go back around this way. Obviously, I don't want to be the center of attention here. I don't want to get shot at. I can only take 2 more hits from the 140s, so I'm just sort of like, you know, running in the shadow of the E4. Unfortunately, the E4 is pushing so much that he's really kind of overextended a lot. So he got already there because he got lit. He would have been better off staying around this area. Once the E4, the 140 had clearly gone somewhere else, it would have been better for him to stay here. Now our E3 is doing this, which is about the stupidest thing you could ever do in a tank destroyer, is basically push where you can be shot in the side. Bizarre choice, but yeah, there you go. But anyways, this is pretty much the end of this battle, guys. It's not fantastic, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I mean, I try to play against this Object 140 here, but it's obviously with no hit points left to play. It's very, very, very difficult to do anything about it. Now, I want this 140 to come help me, because our only chance is to push out one of these flanks. You know, at least there's a dead tank here to use as cover, but he tries to deal with the 50B, but what we need to do is push one way. I mean, we're not going to win, I don't think, either way, but it would be nice to at least try and do it this way. At least, you know, in a tactically unwinnable situation, it would be easiest for us to try and at least get more out of killing this 140 and then doing it that way rather than split our firepower. I bounced him a number of times, which is nice. And then I just about survived that. And this is where I make my mistake. You know, realistically, I should just stop for a second. The 140 was going to come back guaranteed for a shot, so I would have got one more shot of damage. The reason I pushed was because I knew that 50B was coming behind me. The 140 behind me had died to that 50B, and I knew he was going to come kill me, so that's why I pushed forward. But to be honest with you, I should have just sat there and waited for my shot, which I would have gotten. But oh well. Basically, the reason I show you this battle is, one, how I kind of play Sand River, at least from this side, specifically, to just kind of show you a different way of playing it rather than always going up north. But also I wanted to show you how important it is to keep your forces together, which is what their team did and what our team did not do. So this is Sand River again, guys, and the reason I'm showing you, just to show you basically from the same side. This is the second time I got Sand River, and unfortunately it was the exact same side, so I can't show you the other side, but just to show you some consistency, and particularly what I was talking about with the middle area, you know, how easy it is to kill people and how obsessed some people are with it. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. It is actually a really high damage game, I think, 6,300 damage this game. Not a lot of assisted again, but you can just see here I'm looking for shots again, and you lo and behold, M60. They think that this is safe, and this is something that only really works on Sam River Assault from the defensive side. You can go there, but from this side, you can't. So I hit that guy twice, and of course he's going to accuse me of hacking, I think, which, you know, nice aimbot. Yeah, so, you know, that's why I hit that T-49. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, yeah, so I shoot him again, and yeah, he's pretty salty. There's now a T-49 over here, and yeah, you can see that the difference here is they have a lot of TDs, which is basically a strong indicator that they're going to sit in that base, and you can see that they were lit by, I think, our T-49. So I'm just going to move up. Basically, TD sitting in the base all game rather than actually pushing out flanks is a recipe for an easy win as long as you don't YOLO in. You have to just abuse vision mechanics when you have to deal with TDs in the base. So yeah, basically it's a pretty awesome game in terms of, you know, how you can just use this area really well. When I like to see TDs, then I'm almost sure I'm going to go down here just because TDs in the base are just easy farm damage. So yeah, I mean obviously if they have if they push this flank with some tanks and still have base camping TDs, you have to deal with those tanks first. But in this case, they didn't. They just sat there with most of their TDs, and I knew it was going to happen. But I, you know, used my vision to make sure that there was nothing down here, and then yeah. So these TDs are basically just waiting for lights from their allies, which of course there are very few non-TD tanks on their team, so they condemned their own team to basically a loss. So yeah, I mean it's a really straightforward game, guys. Of course here I get exceedingly unlucky, and you'll see in a second. T92, and I look at him and I think he's like right behind there. To arc this is almost impossible, but I forget, you know, that artillery is a thing. So there's a one shot by that T92 that's right there. Absolutely fantastic. You know, it's the end of the battle, so I didn't lose out on too much, but you know, probably about another 500 damage. But you know, artillery, fantabulous. So yeah, just basically I showed you this second one just so you could see a similar sort of outcome from the same sort of position. So the final thing I'm going to show you guys, this is actually the final battle I played. On this battle I was at 94.96%, so obviously I was petrified that basically I would get one shot by Artie or something. So the initial lineup here is interesting. They only have one artillery. It's Pilsen, so we'll see what happens basically, kind of thing. Now, a lot of people like to go 9-0 with mediums. I don't like it so much, personally. It's not so bad when there's no Artie, but, you know, I'm still a little bit concerned about it. So I'm going to go town. And a lot of that decision to go town is just based on the fact that I want to try and avoid those mediums for right now, because if I get YOLO'd, it's going to be a disaster. So I go to the city. You can brawl in the city. You have to just make sure that basically you're very aware of when enemies have fired and when you can move out, and just be very cautious about it. So, you know, as you can see, we don't really have that much of a force going in the field, so if I did go field, it'd be quite dangerous. So usually I like to go to this position and fire here. And yeah, so, oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, while this isn't a fantastic battle, it's basically like 4,200 damage with like 620 assisted. I've decided to record this one over the 6,500 damage game in honor of Sakazilla, who I teased a little bit about giving me some hit points towards the third mark here. And also the Himmelsdorf battle that was just before this one. It was just basically damage farm. There was not really much you can learn from it. So here's a Waffen. Go for the track. Obviously he's going to repair that, so sadness that I wouldn't be able to keep shooting it. Of course a TVP could. But as you can see, we have a lot of tanks here. I really want a way to access a push here without driving into that Waffen, so I'm going to go around the flank here. There's a Centurion back there, so I'm just going to take my shots on the Centurion, clean him up, clean the ISU up, and be able to get around the Waffentrager if he's still alive. But, you know, recognizing the need to push because you have a larger force is very important. So just some easy shots in the Centurion here. I was very fortunate that all of them penned. It seems to have very bizarre random armor layout, the Centurion. Sometimes it bounces, sometimes everything will pen you, so it's really weird. But fortunately those all were successful shots, so I'm just going to get around this convoy here. Didn't get to the Waffen in time, but that's fine. They have an M46 and an E5 right here, so obviously my target is going to be these guys. Unfortunately that bounced on the E5. It is what it is. I'm just going to go push this M46, kill him, just avoiding the shot from the E5 there, and then swerving back out to try and do some damage. It's very difficult to pen in there, so I'm just going to move around him, which is the easier thing to do. He's going to die, so just keep driving and leave him. So as you can see, guys, it's not special or anything. The only thing you can really pick up from this is that, you know, you need to make sure you push. If we'd have sat there for a long period of time, their team might have had a chance. But it looks like even their guys that went 9-0 didn't do very well. So I think we would have been okay regardless. But, you know, you want to always push when you have the force. It's just sometimes it's just difficult with a medium, so you sort of have to invent a way to push with a tier 10 medium, because obviously you don't have the armor, and a lot of times it's you know, you need the armor to actually make a push happen. But so yeah, this is pretty much it, guys. It was really nice to just have a nice clean 4K game plus to finish it off, because obviously I was scared that I was gonna get one shot or whatever and it would go plummeting back down. So there's Soccerzilla. Thank you for your HPs. I'm now being shot by this Centurion, which was very weird to me considering the fact that the Centurion was being pushed, but he still shot me. Oh well, I guess. So I mean, I was actually trying to avoid shooting him if a fat shot, that is, you know, if I could, but you know, I didn't really have much of a choice there. So yeah, this is pretty much it, guys. I bounced that shot, which is about as unlucky as you can get. I was going to be furious if that left me 1% short. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's generally how I play Pilsen regardless. Sometimes I will go 9-0. It really depends on the team lineup. If they were really heavy, I might go 9-0. And if we had more mediums, you know, things like that. So a lot of it just depends entirely on the team composition. So that's pretty much it, guys. It wasn't an amazing session, to be fair, and the assisted damage was a more unique thing that I was going for. I don't think I'll do it on any other mediums, like save if I do the bat chat. That tank is extremely good at spotting, so you might see some more of it there. But any other tier 10 medium, you're likely to see me go for more damage per game style games. But I hope it was somewhat helpful to some of you guys regardless. The Centurion is a fun tank. It can be a bit frustrating, specifically when you have to deal with its ammo rack issues, but its DPM is good, the gun is good, it's got great mobility, so it's a very fun tank. And if you want to play it with this kind of loadout, it does work for the tank. You don't have to put vents on it, you can put optics on it, and you do get quite a healthy amount of view range. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. One of the next ones will either be maybe the FE215B, but also for lols, well, it started out as lols. I've been grinding the mouse mark, and I brought it up from 43 a couple days ago to now 78%, so to be continued with the mouse. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But yeah, either way, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video.